Hello, my name is Jaimielynn Amato. I will be discussing the aria Porgi Amor from the opera La Nozze di Figaro by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Porgi Amor is performed by Countess Rosina Almaviva. It is the most serious aria in the entire opera. La Nozze di Figaro is considered an opera buffa or comedic opera. However, Porgi Amor is a lament that the Countess sings to mourn the loss of her husband's love and affection. To begin, I will go over the structure of this presentation. We will discuss and listen to Porgi Amor within its three main sections. I will then dive deeper into the three sections and motives along the way. Finally, I will have a chance to explain noteworthy and mentionable items of the piece as a whole, as well as notes for future performers. So, let's get started. The large-scale form is presented as a simple binary form. There is a noteworthy introduction that is 17 measures long. The A section is also 17 measures long. The B section is 16 measures long, including the suffix. The introduction contains materials that are also heard in the A section. However, the A section is completely different from the B section. Now, let's dive deeper into the form of the introduction. The introduction opens with a 2-measure prefix, followed by multiple phrases that are 2 measures long. Though the introduction does not exactly fit a CAPLIN theme type, one could argue that it is a basic sentence with stretching into the cadential idea. The introduction ends on a perfect authentic cadence in the home key. The A section fits a period in the CAPLIN theme types. This is an interesting structure, however. Within the sections, there are small suffix-like interludes before the new material. There is a half cadence in the home key in measure 25, followed by a 2.5 measure interlude leading into a 3.5 measure basic idea. The second time we see this interlude, it is dividing the basic idea and the contrasting idea, prolonging the cadential idea, which ends the A section with a perfect authentic cadence in the dominant key. Within the B section, there are 2 subsections labeled C and D. The C section is 11.5 measures long. The harmony is a bit strange. You can hear a deceptive-like cadence in measure 40, leading up scale-wise in the vocal line until it arrives at a perfect authentic cadence in the home key at measure 45. With the cadential repetition that follows, the text from lines 3 and 4 are repeated. It all ends with another perfect authentic cadence in the home key at measure 49. It closes with a small 2-measure suffix. Motives. There are myriads of melodic and rhythmic motives throughout Mozart's cavatina aria Porgi Amor. The first motive is in the introduction and the top voices. You will hear in the next slide the introductory motive in the violin and viola part. Though the score I used only shows the piano reduction, you can still see the motion in the measures 3 through 4. This is present throughout the aria in the A section as well. The motive in the A section appears in the vocal line. Porgi Amor is a 4-line aria. The motive repeats in the text of the lamenting lyrical line, Duolo a men sospir, translating to, my sorrow for my sigh. The rhythmic contour of the vocal line changes in the B section. The text, Porgi Amor qualche ristoro al mio duolo ai miei sospir, translating to, O love, give me some remedy for my sorrow, for my sigh. This is the second time that the text appears. The articulation gives the text a different meaning. Instead of melancholy, it turns into traits of anxious self-realization. Lastly, the second motive of the B section is a repeat of the lines 3 and 4 of the text, O mi rendi el mio tesoro, either give me back my darling, and the second line, or the fourth line rather, O mi lash al men morir, or at least let me die. This motive is particularly important to give the significance of lines 3 and 4, ending the aria. The harmonic motion of the aria is constant throughout the entire piece. There is mostly stepwise motion with small leaps of thirds, fourths, and fifths. There is no leap larger than a sixth. There is use of chromaticism to emphasize the point of arrival for each cadence. There is also use of trills to help rearticulate the cadences. In the next few slides, we will hear the sections of the aria from Introduction A and B. I will also discuss further detail about each section individually. As we have just heard, there is a long orchestral introduction lasting 17 measures. It mostly consists of tonic to dominant motion in the bass line. You may hear syncopated 16th notes in measures 3 through 9 in the top voices. This motive is present as well in the A section and the B section. We will go over that in detail much later. There are arpeggiated triads in measures 7 through 9 that help lead into the new contrasting idea. There is an increasing rhythmic drive from the leading into a perfect authentic cadence in the home key at measure 17. This is a quality that is very characteristic of Mozart's compositions. The dynamic contrast throughout the introduction helps the listener hear distinct transition from basic idea to contrasting idea. There is a basic idea in measure 11, followed by 2 measures of stretching of the same melodic idea, leading to the cadential idea beginning in measure 14, concluding with a perfect authentic cadence in the home key at measure 17. Now, let's hear the A section, and we will go into further detail of our analysis. We've just listened to the A section. Musically, Porgi Amor is through composed. However, the lines of text repeat to re-emphasize the context of the Countess's sorrow. In the A section, there are two subsections in which I have titled lowercase a and lowercase b. The subsections are simple and contain the same melodic motive we have heard in the introduction, simply adding the first and second line of the 4-line text. The first phrase begins at measure 18 and carries over into measure 25. There is a half cadence in measure 25 in the home key. The A section is basically the same as the introduction with 2 measure phrases. The tricky part about analyzing the section, however, is that it contains an interlude within the period form. There are short but profound reinstatements leading into the new vocal entrances. The interlude could be seen as a small suffix or even as a turnaround in the structure of the A section. But to stay within Caplin's normal theme types of a period, I have chosen to label them as an interlude rather than a suffix or a turnaround. The A section ends with a fermata holding out the perfect authentic cadence in the dominant key. Now let's listen to the B section and we'll continue our analysis. We have just finished listening to the B section. The B section re-emphasizes the lament quality of the text with its repetition of lines 3 and 4, as I had stated earlier in our slide on motives. The downbeat of measure 36 is a half cadence in the home key, so we are no longer tonicizing the dominant key. There are 2 subsections in the B section in which I have labeled lowercase c and lowercase d. The C section begins in measure 36 and is carried to measure 45. At measure 45, you can hear a clear, perfect, authentic cadence. Following measure 45 is the beginning of the D section, which is carried out from measure 45 to measure 49. I consider the D section to be a cadential repetition. As I've stated earlier, there's a clear PAC in measure 45 that could sound like the end of the aria, but the aria repeats in measure 45 to 49, restating lines 3 and 4 once again, and lastly concludes in a PAC on measure 49. Followed by a 2-measure suffix. The entire aria is relatively simple in form, though it does include some strange characteristics that aren't common to the CAPLIN theme types. After doing this project, I have realized that this aria could be perceived in many different ways. My overall analysis and my phrase level form consists of an introduction followed by an A section followed by a B section. Within the introduction, there is a prefix followed by a sentence ending in a PAC leading into the A section. Within the A section, it is a period form with an antecedent with a strange characteristic of an interlude, followed by the consequent ending in a PAC in the dominant key, followed by the B section, which is also a period and also contains an interlude in between the antecedent and the consequent. Lastly, the piece ends with a suffix in my understanding of the piece. There are many different interpretations one could take. To me, this made the clearest sense. I did, however, dabble with the idea of having a one more time technique at the end in place of a cadential repetition, which would have fit as well, but it omitted the interlude in between the basic idea and the contrasting idea of the B section. So to make it easier for myself, I have chosen to call both the A section a period and the B section a period, with some included interludes in between and after. For my normative CAPLIN theme type, I have broken it into the 3 subsections. Within the introduction, there is a prefix leading into a sentence. Within the A section, it is a period with added information. And within the B section, it is also a period. The non-normative feature of the CAPLIN theme type period would be the interludes. The interludes add time to each measure, stretching the phrases longer and adding to the cadential ideas. Lastly, it ends with a suffix, as I have stated in the previous slide. This is all just a reiteration because the aria itself is relatively simple. There are very distinct Mozart-like qualities that could be tricky, but ultimately, it is just a simple aria showcasing 4 lines of text and conveying emotion more so through the text of repetition than through the melodic motive. As we've just listened to the aria Porgi Amor from Le Nozze di Figaro, we can conclude that it is a very simple cavatina aria, which stands out from the entire opera because of its serious nature. The aria itself is relatively simple, as I've stated, but there are very distinct characteristics that are worth talking about, much like the interlude within the period and all of the motives that are repeated throughout the entire composition. As a soprano preparing this role for her senior recital, I highly recommend that people listen to this with open ears. Though it sounds simple, there are many distinct characteristics that scream Mozart. I hope my analysis has helped you, the listener, gain a clearer understanding of the context of the aria within the opera. Thank you for listening.